Hi, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make the best dinner rolls ever. These are the same ones that I made in my bakery. First we want to start with 4½ cups or 1 pound, 6½ ounces of all-purpose flour. I do prefer to weigh it, that way I know I'm getting the exact amount of flour that I need. And we do want all-purpose flour in these dinner rolls and not bread flour, because this way they're going to come out lighter and fluffier and more tender than if you used bread flour. So we've got that in my stand mixer bowl here, because I am going to blend this with a stand mixer. You don't have to, but your dough will come out a lot smoother and a lot more elastic that way. So alright, 1 pound, 6½ ounces or 4½ cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to add to that 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 ounce or 2 packets of RapidRise yeast, and a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to stir this up until they're combined. And then I'm going to set this aside. And now I want to heat up my liquid ingredients. I'm going to heat these in the pan on the stove until they are 120 to 130 degrees, and this is where an instant read thermometer comes in really handy for that. You don't have to use the thermometer, you can test it on your wrist if you like, but this is more accurate and a surefire way of not killing the yeast. Okay, I'm going to use 1/2 cup of water, 3/4 cup of milk, and 5 tablespoons or 2½ ounces of real butter. Yes, you want real butter in this. And so I'm going to heat this up to 120 to 130 degrees and we'll be right back. My liquid ingredients are now warm enough, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour that warmed milk, water, butter liquid into the flour mix. And I'm also going to add in 2 eggs that I've just lightly beaten. And I'm going to just stir this up just to moisten this flour a little bit so that I don't have flour spraying all over the kitchen when I turn this on my stand mixer. And I'm going to use a dough hook and let the mixer do the kneading for me for about 10 minutes. On a low speed. It does not take a lot of speed to do this. And again, if you don't want to use a stand mixer, you don't have to. You can knead it by hand, again, for about 10 minutes. While this is kneading in the mixer, I'm going to take this pan and bring it, it's a pan of water, and bring it to a boil on the stove, and then I'm going to put it on the bottom rack, which I've lowered all the way to the bottom in my oven, and just let it sit there and warm the oven up. No, the oven is not going to be turned on. The light bulb will be turned on in the oven because I want to use it as a warm proof box. So we don't want to turn on the heat on the oven. If you do, you're going to kill your yeast. So we're going to let it proof in there when it's ready. So while this is kneading, I'm going to get my proof box ready, and we'll be back after this is finished kneading. My dough is all kneaded, and you can see how nice and smooth it is. Now what I'm going to do is just spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray and cover this bowl up and allow this to rest for 10 minutes, and that's going to count as the first rise. Alright, my dough has rested for 10 minutes and we are ready to form some dinner rolls. I have a cutting board here that I like to form bread dough on. I have a sharp knife, my spatula, a little extra all-purpose flour, and I have a 9x12 pan that I've sprayed with nonstick spray, and you can oil it, grease it with butter, however you want to do. My suggestion is that you use a nonstick spray or nonstick pan, and one that's got a little bit of color to it. Medium to darker works better. If you do use a shiny cake pan, your rolls will come out okay, but they won't brown on the bottom as much as you might like them to brown. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put a little bit of flour on this board. And we're going to be making 2 dozen rolls with this dough. So what we want to do is divide it into 24 even pieces. Now when I had my bakery, I used to weigh them out, but that was quite an ordeal. I did it purposely so my rolls would be very uniform looking. You're probably not so concerned with that as much, so we're not going to worry with that. But we do want to get this dough where it's pretty easy to use. And so you see I just rolled it just a little bit just to get that flour on it all the way around. Now what we're going to do is divide this into 24 even pieces. And so we're going to start by cutting it in half. And so the goal will be to have 1 dozen pieces out of each piece there. So now we're going to do this systematically. And we're going to take this and cut it in half. And so now I should get 6 out of each of these. Again, we want to keep just a small amount of flour on this board just to keep this dough easy to use. And now we want to get 3 out of each of these. And so, or rather 6 out of each of these. 12 and 12. So now I'm going to cut this in half again. And now we want to get 3 out of each of these. So I'm going to just divide this into thirds. Okay, I'll show you how I make one. You don't have to get really fancy with this. These things are going to spread out on the pan on their own, and I really just keep it simple. Some people like to roll them into a ball and just do fancy things with them. I just like to just take it and form it, and I'm going to put 4 across. You see, all I'm doing is just this and just patting it out. 4 across in my baking pan here. They may not look perfect like machine formed ones, but oh, are they going to taste good. So you can see we've got 4 across, and I'm just going to continue to do this with this entire amount of batch of dough, and I'm going to put all 2 dozen in this same pan. Be right back with you when all the rolls are formed. Alright, all of my rolls have been formed, and there they are, ready to go. I'm going to put these in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes until they're double in size. The oven light is on, and that pan of boiling water is sitting on the bottom rack in the oven, so I've got a very warm, steamy environment there. And that's going to be perfect for proofing this bread. I'm just going to take the pan just like it is and put it in the oven. As you can see, these rolls have doubled in size and they look wonderful. My pan of hot water is now out of the oven, and the oven is preheating to 375, and as soon as it's hot, these are going to go in there for 15 to 20 minutes until they're golden brown. Oh, these rolls are baked and they look wonderful. Now I want to show you a really neat way to get them out of the pan. You take a cooling rack, and this rack is upside down, and we're going to flip it just like this. Remove the pan. Comes out really, really easy. Now we're going to take a second cooling rack, turn it upside down, grab the 2 together very gently and flip it over. And now you've got your rolls turned the right side up on a cooling rack, and they look wonderful. Now, to top them off, what you really want to do to finish this out is to brush them lightly with some melted butter. We want the real thing all the time in this too, because it's going to give them the best flavor. And this melted butter is going to just give them a nice gloss, give them a good flavor, and it's going to make the color look that much better. And if there's any flour residue on the top of the rolls, it's going to take that away, and they're just going to look heavenly. And you just want to let them sit down and cool off on their cooling rack until they are nice and cool, and that way they'll be ready to eat as soon as you are. If you get anxious and you decide to break into one now, yes, they do taste yummy. But what's going to happen is where you've broken it off, you're going to have a lot of steam escape from there. And so it's going to have a dryness around that. So if you break into them a little bit too early, you're going to actually cause your rolls to be on the dry side. Any one that you don't consume right then and there. Now, isn't that beautiful? As you can see, making homemade dinner rolls really is not all that hard. And let me encourage you to give this a try. When you do, let me know how it works for you in the comments below. This is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Have a great day.